the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. Time to talk about Jordan Mason. You better beware of Jordan Mason. He's coming for you in a big way. And I'm talking to opposing defenses because Jordan Mason is one of those guys that plays with such physicality and aggression. But when you combine it with the vision that he played with, you see a very talented running back that can have an impact on the San Francisco 49ers and the rest of the roster. I'm super excited about talking about Jordan Mason in this episode because Mason is a guy that came on the scene last year and got everyone's attention right away. He was signed as an undrafted free agent out of Georgia Tech and a really, really talented football player. When you're 5'11", 223 pounds, you get people's attention just from your mere size. But then he got out on the field and you could see that he had a little bit more burst than what you were expecting, and definitely ran through contact. And those are recipes for success when going into the NFL. The question marks around Jordan Mason were, how are you going to fit Kyle Shanahan's system? Your straight-ahead run style of running people over isn't exactly what Kyle normally does with his zone scheme. But of course, there's plenty of gap scheme and other things that you can do to facilitate using any style of running back the way Kyle Shanahan does. This is not his dad's offense. This is not Coach Gibbs as the offensive line coach. This is a different world. This is Chris Forrester as the offensive line coach. And this is Kyle Shanahan's very versatile run game. And that run game we've seen on display with several different styles of running back. And the 49ers have different running backs. Christian McCaffrey is definitely built for the zone scheme and could create with his ability to catch the ball in the backfield. And it's just a real matchup problem. Elijah Mitchell is closer to that type of mold from Jordan Mason. Elijah Mitchell can catch the ball in the backfield. He's got really good vision, and he explodes through holes. Jordan Mason is a guy that has really good vision, and when he explodes, it's like 5 yards of explosion. Other players can run him down. He can be caught. We saw that against Seattle when he played them on that Thursday night game in December. He almost got to the end zone. He got ran down, and we were all cheering and hoping that Jordan Mason was going to be able to get home because he deserves it. And why does he deserve it? Because he's a guy that works hard. He goes out there and he competes, and he was able to get that third running back spot last year behind Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. There were a variety of different players that were in front of him, including Jeff Wilson Jr. And Elijah Mitchell started the season. And Jordan Mason was a steady. He was out there, and he always was somebody they could count on. They did not turn to him very often. He had a pretty good season, and he averaged over 6 yards a carry, which that's exactly what you're looking for when you're talking about a running back that's coming off the bench. You throw in the fact that he does have the capability to catch the football in the backfield. I say capability because we haven't really saw it a whole lot, and this is something that we know Anthony Lynn has talked about, that these players need to continue to progress into the passing game. You don't want to have to change up your entire offense for each player that you put in. You want them to be able to run the offense you run with Christian McCaffrey. That's not easy. Christian McCaffrey definitely is one of a kind. The closest thing to him is Deebo Samuel. They are the opposites. One's a running back, one's a wide receiver. But beyond that, there's not very many players that can do it. Maybe an Austin Eckler, but how many guys can? So I don't think you can completely mimic what you're going to get from Christian McCaffrey, but what you want is those plays where he's catching the ball in the backfield, he's a check down, a screen, maybe he's running a Texas route out of the backfield. You want Jordan Mason to be able to catch those footballs. That will also keep other teams on their toes. They can't think that Jordan Mason's going to just stay in for protection. So Mason had some areas to improve. But one area he didn't have to improve was his fantastic running over people. Whenever you carry the ball for 43 times for 258 yards and a touchdown, you had a pretty good year, especially as the 49ers' third running back. That wasn't how he started. He came in to training camp, and he was way down the depth chart. He was behind TDP. But he came in there and he competed, and pretty soon, because of his special teams ability and how fast he picked up pass protection, he jumped ahead of TDP. I think injuries also helped that category as well. But you can't look at that. If you're Jordan Mason, you got to just keep pushing forward. But Jordan Mason did have to work on some things. One of the things he needed to work on was pass protection. Yeah, he got better from what we saw early in training camp. But Kyle Shanahan said on a couple of occasions that the reason that Jordan Mason and the reason that TDP weren't getting that playing time was they still had to do things without the football. Without the football is always a problem for a running back. They have to be able to learn to do the little things, including protections, helping the quarterback know where blitzes are coming from. You got to stick your head in there. And also, when it's called upon, you got to know when to release and go out for a pass. And you've got to be able to win that situation. Funny thing is, Jordan Mason did that in the preseason. He went out and he made a play on from the slot. So he has the ability. That's never been the question. I think everyone can get excited about his running style. He has great vision, able to get through the hole, run people over, extend plays. And what he really worked into, his role of 2022, was slamming the door on opposing teams. The 49ers were missing that. They had Christian McCaffrey, but do you want Christian McCaffrey getting bruised and beat up? Yeah, if you're in the playoffs, you let McCaffrey go finish the football game. But when you're in the regular season, you're in week 14, week 15, why not Jordan Mason go in there and close it out? They would have loved for it to be to Elijah Mitchell, but Elijah Mitchell hasn't been able to stay healthy. So Jordan Mason was called upon, and he answered the bell. I think Jordan Mason's role can improve and increase this season. I think he could get some extra red zone carries. I think we could see him in the backfield with Elijah Mitchell. I think they could do some pretty fun things. Plus, he's just reliable. He's someone you can count on. And when it comes down to it, he can close out halves and he can close out games. He doesn't fumble the football. He runs people over. He finds the hole. He gets vertical when he's supposed to. There's a lot to be excited about Jordan Mason. That's why you got to beware of Mason. League, aware of Mason because he's coming for you. He's coming for this league. Now, I've started hearing the conversations about him potentially taking over running back 2 from Elijah Mitchell. I think that's a lot. I don't know if he's capable of doing that right now. Elijah Mitchell's been in the system for 2 years, and Elijah Mitchell has a little something Jordan Mason is lacking a little bit, and that is speed. Elijah Mitchell's speed, Christian McCaffrey's speed are just a little bit at a different level than Jordan Mason. It doesn't mean Mason can't do it, but I want to see him consistently be able to run an outside zone. We've seen it. We've seen him be able to do it. The question is, when he gets his shoulders turned towards the sideline, can he get where he needs to be to get vertical and go with it? I think it was difficult for him at times. Where he had the most success was on inside zone and gap scheme plays that went vertical really quick up the middle. But I think that's what they want to do with Jordan Mason. They want to get him up the field, get him vertical, and get some big-time yardage. So Mason's going to have a lot of work to do, and he's going to have an opportunity to do it. But I think he's going to settle into a nice role with the 49ers. Short yardage, goal line, finish out football games. And just in case Elijah Mitchell goes down again, you have a player you can count on to take those reps. This is good news for the 49ers. Keep Christian McCaffrey fresh for the playoffs and for the finishing run. Keep Elijah Mitchell healthy as long as you can. Give a little bit of those carries to Jordan Mason. And with him being a second-year player, he's now going to feel more comfortable being able to do it within the scheme. So Jordan Mason's strengths are really high. His weaknesses, not so much. There's not a lot that you don't want to like about Jordan Mason. I think pass protection is something we're going to have to see if he figured out. I'm pretty sure he did. His speed, you can overcome it by taking the right lanes, learning the right directions to go and when to cut up and get vertical, by pressing it to a certain point and going upfield vertically. There's a lot of things you can do. Speed is not a prerequisite for being able to run outside. Just doing it the right way is. A year under Anthony Lynn and a year with Bobby Turner means I expect Jordan Mason to take a step forward. An increased role for Jordan Mason, what will it look like? I don't think it's going to be extensive. I don't think you're going to see him overtake Elijah Mitchell or get an abundance of carries this season. But if he can duplicate what he did in 2022 and keep a 6-yard average while closing out games, helping in the red zone, and giving those two guys ahead of him breaks, I think that'd be good news for the 49ers. You could throw in a handful of catches and maybe even increase his carries by 20. I think that would be a good scenario for the 49ers. Many are going to want a much bigger role for Jordan Mason. I think that could come in the future. I don't know if that's realistic for 2023, but I do know that teams better be aware of Jordan Mason when it gets to closing time. He's going to finish you off. He's going to slam the door on you. Jordan Mason's a fun player. I really enjoy watching him. He was one of the funnest guys to watch all during training camp last year, and you could just see him getting better and better. It was funny. The year before, it was Elijah Mitchell. First time we saw him, fantastic. Jordan Mason was that kind of guy this season. Very excited for both players this year, both healthy, playing behind Christian McCaffrey. And, of course, did a video on TDP as well. You can go back and watch that about TDP is not a bust. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. On the push for 4K. And we're getting close. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about Jordan Mason. The league need to be worried like I think. Do they need to be aware of Mason? I think they need to. So thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay safe. And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.